There's a lot of confusion today on what is RICO and what isn't RICO, so I'm here for a handy explanation. RICO is the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, and it was basically meant to take down the mafia, because if you have a figurehead that isn't exactly giving orders, but they are committing crimes, there's really no way to climb the ladder there without charging everybody with the same crime. So what you would do is you would charge entire organizations meant to actually commit a viable crime, and then you would charge everybody with the same thing, hoping that lower levels would flip on people all the way up. This is different than conspiracy. Conspiracy is like you and I plan to rob a bank together, and then you catch us to do that act. That's conspiracy. Conspiracy isn't in the news, it's RICO. That's going to be important in a second. So absent an actual crime, RICO would be when you had let's say a really influential family member, say the father, the patriarch of the family, he had a really influential position, and he had a son that went around to every country that this guy worked in, right? Like the father kept having positions in Ukraine and China and Russia, and then everywhere that he worked, the son went and picked up bags of cash, like millions of dollars, and 20 or 30 LLCs later to try to wash the money. It ended up paying for his bills, and the son, who was a crackhead and a felon, ended up saying all kinds of illegal stuff. He surrounded himself with felons. Everything he did was essentially illegal, right? That's what RICO is. Saying an election is rigged is not RICO, and it's not conspiracy. I mean, unless you want to say it is, and then you have to deal with that. Anyway, hope you learned something.
We give money to Ukraine, and it's bothered me from day one, and you have plenty of people just here. I say, how come it's always the United States that gets ripped? Frankly, Ukraine, we want to help them. And I do like the new president. You know why I like him? Because he was honest. Because he said there was no pressure at all exerted on me, meaning him, by the president of the United States. He said it. By the way, that one sentence should stop this. But he said there was no pressure exerted. But you don't have to ask him. All you have to do is read the transcript, read the telephone call. But what I was having a problem with are two things. Number one, Ukraine is known before him for tremendous corruption. Tremendous. More than just about any country in the world. In fact, they're rated one of the most corrupt countries in the world. And I don't like giving money to a country that's that corrupt. And if you put me back in the White House, their reign is over. Their reign will be over. And they know it. And America will be a free nation once again. We're not a free nation right now. We don't have free press. We don't have free anything. In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution. Not going to let this happen. I will totally obliterate the deep state. I will fire. Forget our enemies want to stop us because we're the only ones that can stop them. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way.
This is not just an indictment of Trump. This is an indictment of conservative Americans. It's an indictment of the freedom of speech. It's an indictment of the Constitution, and it's an indictment of the United States of America. No American should stand for this. Trump has always warned us that they were after us, but he was in their way. These indictments are proof of that.
The January 6th committee has just been caught cold, orchestrating a massive illegal cover-up. Trump is headed for trial next year for January 6th related charges, and he's going to have subpoena power, which gives him the right to access critical documents and videos pertaining to the time period. That means the January 6th committee, whose 2-year investigation produced thousands and thousands of documents, transcript, and hours of deposition videos, the good, the bad, and the ugly, will be legally required to turn over whatever materials Trump requests. The January 6th committee has destroyed almost 50% of their evidence. The Democrat-run January 6th committee is missing 1.5 terabytes of data. Records of the Capitol Hill security failures, video of Trump cabinet depositions, emails, text messages, gone. And who knows what else they deleted. Remember, the January 6th committee only aired and only reported what Democrats wanted you to know about January 6th. Anything they didn't want you to know about the 6th wasn't made public. This has never happened before in Congress. The Benghazi committee, the 9/11 committees, all of that evidence is warehoused. None of it was deleted. It's also a crime to destroy congressional documents. It's a felony. Why do Democrats continue to get away with destroying evidence? Hillary acid washes emails and takes hammers to iPhones. Obama's IRS accidentally erased.
Trump could face his 4th indictment in Georgia. What do you anticipate happening?
I anticipate whatever happens, Donald Trump is going to emerge even stronger, because now we've seen not just state level prosecutions, but federal prosecutions where they have weaponized law enforcement at the local, state, and federal levels to target their political opponents. And whatever your politics are, or whatever your personal preferences towards or against Donald Trump is, America is seeing the total weaponization of justice. And that, to me, has been Donald Trump's biggest actual weapon to destroy the deep state, because now they've given him free rein to expose their corrupt actions. It's no longer just a possibility or a maybe or a possible fiction. It is a reality that they are dancing in every single day. And I think it only emboldens President Trump to defeat them across the board. That's been his mission since day one. Since I asked him, why do you want to do this again? He goes, America's failing and I'm not going to let it happen on my watch. So I think that's the reaction you're going to see if and when this thing ever comes.
A quick question.
Yeah.
So you are obviously a person of color like we are.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to not be Trump supporters. So what is it about Trump
You know what? I'm going to tell you something right now. I was talking to my husband about it earlier. And when I really started educating myself and informing myself on Donald Trump, one thing that I'm passionate about is human trafficking, that especially of children. And when I really started digging into it, I saw that Trump also is a huge supporter. He donated recently $35 million to support human trafficked survivors. Yep. That really struck a chord with my heart. And so
Amazing.
when I started really looking into him, I'm about action, I'm not about words. Okay?
Yes,
I like the fact that he says what's on his mind. I like the fact that he doesn't say what he thinks people want to hear from him. And to me, I know everything that he's done for the black communities, and I stand behind him.
Beautiful.
100%. I'm not only a Trump supporter, I am a Trump lover. And for the longest time, I've been afraid to come out and say that.
Well, here we go.
Because I didn't want to lose my blackness or my black friends or whatever. But
remember what Joe Biden said, if you vote for Trump, you ain't black.
So if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
What an idiot.
Mr. Durham, did you see evidence of collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign in 2016?
No.
So the American public that has been pulled this hoax for years, it was just that, a hoax. Is that correct?
Our investigation showed that there were a lot of failures in the FBI in how they did this investigation that did not disclose or reveal information or evidence concerning any conspiracy or collusion between Mr. Trump and Russian authorities.
Let's sum it up. Vice President Biden and President Obama knew about it. Hillary fabricated it. The FBI orchestrated it, and the media sold it to the public, and it's still out there. The question is, who watches the watchmen? The FBI has become a Praetorian guard here, protecting the nation's capital, but not the people of the United States of America. It is going to be up to us as Republicans, and solely us as Republicans, starting on this Judiciary Committee, to get accountability to the FBI in the United States of America.
We were at the UFC fight in Miami, and you walked up with Trump, and that place lost their mind when you guys walk. I don't know if you...
People don't like, but Trump is the man. Trump is the man. He has this fan base. He has his supporters, and they're going to stick with him to the end.
How has he been to you over the years?
I never had a bad moment with him.
You've never had a bad moment?
No.
Did you...
Became very profited from him. It was just a great relationship.
When did you guys...
I just had dinner with him a week ago.
In Mar-a-Lago? Where
Yes,
were you?
in Mar-a-Lago.
How was that?
That was awesome. Me, him, Barron, and his mother, and it was just off the hook. Barron, he's so smart. The young kid, Barron
is smart.
Oh, Barron.
You knew that?
7 feet tall now or
No,
not yet?
6'8".
He's 6'8".
But you knew he was very intelligent?
I've heard a lot of weird stories about
man,
him.
this guy's on top of this game intellectually.
At 16 years old.
17.
17 now. Got it.
Was Melania there at dinner?
Yes, she was there as well.
How was your interaction with her? What was
Awesome.
she like?
Awesome. It's like the president's wife, the first lady.
And by the way, I want to say officially for the press, it's about 110 degrees in this room. Nice job with the air conditioning, whoever. But you know what the press will say? You know what they'll say? Trump didn't look well. He was extremely wet. It's 104 or 5 degrees in this room. But we're okay with it, right?
There's new reporting this morning on a secret memo. No.
I mean, him sweating. No, I'm just saying him sweating that much. Do you think he's
in a million different ways?
healthy?
I don't think he's
you
well.
Think he's unhealthy? Yeah, you just don't. I mean, Marco Rubio didn't sweat that much.
Correct.
Ron DeSantis doesn't sweat that much.
Anyhow,
that was a lot of sweat.
$1,850 he had. Biden didn't have any authority, and he had no right to possess those documents, none whatsoever. Yet nothing happened to Crooked Joe.
It's obvious that nothing will happen to the current sitting president of the United States. The radical left is abusing their power and authority to eliminate Trump from the presidential race. They know that if they don't put him in jail, they will lose the upcoming election in 2024. We must vote for President Donald Trump, the one who will always puts us first. Are you with us? If so, please take this short poll and let us know you still got our back. As a gift, we'll send this limited gold MAGA watch to Trump supporters only. This watch stands as a symbol of unwavering support for Trump, who was wrongly accused and proven to be innocent. Hurry, take the poll below and support Trump before it's too late.
$1,850 he had. Biden didn't have any authority, and he had no right to possess those documents, none whatsoever.
To call Biden a criminal. Why is that?
He is a criminal. He's a criminal. He got caught, read his laptop, and you know who's a criminal? You're a criminal for not reporting it. You are a criminal for not reporting it. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden is a criminal, and he's been a criminal for a long time, and you're a criminal in the media for not reporting it. Good luck, everybody. Have a good time.
Under the terms of this indictment, Jack Smith, the prosecutor, could be indicted. The core of the indictment is that Donald Trump lied to the public. But Jack Smith lied. In his indictment, he outlines the speech that Donald Trump made on January 6th. It's a very important part of the indictment. But he deliberately, willfully, and with malice leaves out the key words. He doctors the speech. He leaves out the fact that Donald Trump said, I want you to protest peacefully and patriotically. Those are the two words that bring him within the First Amendment. Now, you can argue about that. What you cannot argue about is that a decent prosecutor, an honest lawyer, doesn't leave those words out of the indictment. A lie by omission under the law can be just as serious as a lie by commission. So under the theory, the absurd theory that lying is now criminalized, Jack Smith could be turned into a criminal.
I'm not making this video to make black people start liking Donald Trump. I just want to make you think. Remember before Donald Trump ran for president and all kind of black people used to be cool with him? And I mean all kind of black people. But as soon as he ran for president as a Republican, that's when they told you he's a racist. The same people that tell you that little boys can become girls and girls can become boys. The same people that tell you that men can get pregnant. The same people that tell you that you need to kill your baby. That it's okay for grown men to dress and drag and read stories and twerk in front of little children. That black people are too stupid to get voter ID. That black people are at war with the police when we kill each other by the thousands every single year and the police kill less than 250 of us. That biological men should compete against biological women. That it's okay for 13, 14, and 15-year-old girls to cut their breasts off. That if you get this vaccine and the third one and the fourth one and the fifth one, you won't get sick. And if you don't vote for this old white supremacist president, you ain't black.
And if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
All Democrats need to think Donald Trump's a racist, but do you think he's a racist?
Yes. Today I want to talk about how to grow the African American middle class and to provide a new deal for black America.
One or two examples of him being racist.
I've got to go do my job. You do your job.
One example, quick example.
That deal is grounded in 3 promises: safe communities, great education, and high-paying jobs.
Well, he shows all the time that he's racist.
Every African-American citizen in this country is entitled to a government that puts their jobs, wages, and security first.
Could you provide one or two examples?
I can't think of it right now.
Would you like to hear why I don't think he's a racist?
No.
America first. Election Day 2024, we're going to evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House. We're going to expel the criminals and thugs from the halls of power in Washington, D.C., and we are going to make America great again. Thank you very much. This is a very sad day for America, and it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much.
Donald Trump has yet again been indicted
by the Biden DOJ, a political party in power that is now repeatedly using police force to indict and arrest and potentially eliminate its political opponents from competition. This is a politicized prosecution. It is a political persecution through prosecution, now in a third indictment just in a matter of months against the person who is still at present the lead contender in the Republican primary for U.S. president.
Thing I will say, though, in 2020, Mr. Trump's campaign had a few weeks to gear up and present evidence, and it was very difficult. We now have the ability in this case to issue our own subpoenas, and we will relitigate every single issue in the 2020 election in the context of this litigation. It gives President Trump an opportunity that he has never had before, which is to have subpoena power since January 6th in a way that can be exercised in federal court.
What you're talking about. Yeah, I've never seen an indictment this messy and sloppy in my life. And, you know, really at the end of the day, they're saying that it's not a matter of, it should be a matter of what Donald Trump thought or didn't think. But instead, they try to use a kind of a reasonable person test to suggest that because Director Ratcliffe, because Attorney General Barr and others had told the president that he lost, that somehow, you know, no reasonable person would believe that. But in all of this indictment, the thing that is fascinating to me is that Jack Smith admits there was fraud in this last election. He says essentially that there wasn't an outcome determinative amount of fraud, but there was enough fraud. And so this trial, if and when it goes, could have some really interesting evidence on how much fraud is in the American electoral system. And quite frankly, how much fraud are Americans willing to withstand?
I don't even want to do this real, but okay, fine. Why don't you post when President Trump does something? People have been hitting me up about the new indictments. Look at this timeline. Look at the timeline right here. Look at this timeline. That doesn't seem manufactured to you? Oh, by the way, the last time that Jack Smith brought federal charges like this, he was appealed 8-0 at the Supreme Court. The Florida documents thing, Trump probably ran afoul of the law there. He probably actually did do something wrong. Should he be prosecuted? No. Did he run afoul of the law? Probably by letter of the law, yes. They didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton for that. They are going to prosecute President Trump for that. So two things can be true at the same time. Number one, he could be afoul of the law. And then number two, he shouldn't be prosecuted because of the precedents that we have set. Look at this timeline. Look at this timeline. Jack Smith is going to bring up more federal charges and probably get appealed at the Supreme Court 8-0. The Supreme Court is largely conservative right now.
Donald Trump is not going to be that bad. Don't run. He's going to make a kill, bring their ass over here and start building them desks and stuff in America because he's going to make America great again. Let's go, Donald Trump.
Is Trump a racist?
I don't think so. I've talked to a number of black entrepreneurs who back in the late 80s and 90s, early 90s, were trying to get financing. They couldn't. Somebody told them to go check with Donald Trump. So they come back and tell me they got a loan from Donald Trump. He gave them a term loan. Show up with the interest and the principal, one check. But they had to go see him personally. They independently relate this tale that when they saw him, he said, "This what you supposed to pay me? This our agreement?" I said, "Yeah." And then tore the check up, shook their hands, and congratulations. Now run your business. He didn't have any problem with dating a black woman, walking her down red carpets. Most people don't know this. He was the finance man behind Jesse Jackson's 2 runs for president.
Wow.
Are you having a good time tonight?
Night.
Where's your daddy? And your mommy, right? Oh, do you want to go back? Do you want to go back to them or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
calling this the Chinese virus. There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China, that's why.
Why is this a global competition to you if everyday Americans are still losing their lives?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay?
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
Director of the FBI tonight, for the first time, acknowledging COVID-19 likely came from a lab leak in China.
Major news today. The FBI has come out publicly to say COVID-19 most likely leaked from a Wuhan lab. FBI Director Christopher Wray also spoke about the Chinese government blocking any investigation into the origins of the pandemic.
Why do you think people voted for Trump? Because everything is going great in their lives? Trump didn't take us to Iraq. Trump didn't pass NAFTA. Trump didn't bail out the banks and screw the homeowners. If people actually knew what Bill Clinton and Barack Obama actually did, they would be screaming bloody murder.
The Democratic Party completely turned their back on workers. They got in bed with Wall Street and Silicon Valley. This is the result.
In order to get better, we have to come to terms with this. We have to come to terms with what's wrong.
People are hurting.
Half the country's poor, you assholes.
When both parties turn their back on the workers, they're...
In 2016, Trump drew thousands to rallies all across the country. Last week was pretty extraordinary, though. He brought in an estimated 50,000 supporters to a tiny town in South Carolina, Pickens, where the population is just over 3,000 people. He drew a crowd 20 times that number. This was a striking contrast to who is thought to be his biggest political rival at the moment, Governor Ron DeSantis, who held an event in that same state last week. DeSantis only bringing in enough enthusiasm to fill a local activity center in North Augusta in South Carolina. Despite his legal woes, Trump is heading the Republican race somewhat effortlessly, and the money doesn't lie. CNN reports that the former president has nearly doubled his $18.8 million from the beginning of 2023. His campaign earned $35 million in donations in the most recent quarter. And it's not a matter of too much competition, as some have proposed, as in, what if the field narrows? Well, even in a narrow two-candidate field, NBC says Trump beats DeSantis 60-36.
Would you stop the money to Ukraine at this point?
I'd get the war settled. The money is, number one, I tell Europe, you're about $100 billion plus short, okay? You got to pay. Because Europe is smiling all the way to the bank. We're giving all of Europe is doing very little compared to the United States, and it affects them more. Look, no matter how you look at it, they're right there. We're an ocean apart. Why are we at 150 billion and they're at 20? They have to, and you know, their economy's almost exactly our size if you add it all up. You add up the countries of Europe, and we have a very similar economy they have a very similar to the United States. They should be at the same number that we're at, if not more. And they get away with murder. And they did with NATO, too. You know what I did with NATO? They weren't paying, and I made them pay.
Right.
And took in hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
Would you be...
This video is to every single black person out there. If you really want to fuck over this government that has fucked over your ancestors, if you really want to fuck over this government that helped kill Martin Luther King Jr., if you really want to help fuck over this government that killed Malcolm X, that killed Huey, and that destroyed the Black Panther Party, if you really want to fuck over this government, I'm asking you to do me a favor. Go vote for Donald Trump. Can't you see how these fucking devils are running around here scared to fucking death of this man? Because they don't want they fucking evil, sick asses locked up. So black people, if you really want to piss these fucking racist, demon, fucking devils off, vote for Donald Trump. Fuck they shit up. Because they've been fucking it up for us for the longest, and it's been them.
And they've all of the media is getting it wrong.
He's not the person that the media has depicted him to be.
I've never met nobody like this guy. And he gets attacked quite a bit. He says what he feels. We mistake that for racism.
God made this man president.
The most pro-black president
that we've had in our lifetime.
What do you say to Americans who are concerned by that?
Makes me sad. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones.
President Trump has signed a bipartisan bill that permanently funds HBCUs.
President Trump today signed a sweeping criminal justice overhaul. It is all about second chances.
President Trump is going to sign an executive order today on opportunity zones.
Our goal is to rebuild homes, schools, businesses, and communities that need it the most.
Mr. President, we thank you. This is the greatest team to make a generational impact.
And that's what changed for me. Is I then when Donald Trump was elected and then proceeded to do the things that he had promised, ironically. Right? Because, I mean, that's funny that, like, Donald Trump would be the first presidential candidate to actually deliver. Hate him or love him, he's doing the things that he said he was going to do.
Hey, and we have a corrupt, compromised president, crooked Joe Biden, who is dragging us into World War III. And that's what's happening on behalf of a nation that paid his family millions and millions of dollars in obvious bribes. All you have to do is take a look at how much China, how much Ukraine have paid the Biden family. It's a total disgrace and a very dangerous one. Under these circumstances, the notion that we would even consider admitting Ukraine into NATO at this time is completely unhinged. Joe Biden can't even walk up a flight of stairs on Air Force One, and he can't put two sentences together. The last thing that this incompetent administration should be doing is risking war with a nuclear-armed Russia or China or other countries. We have somebody that doesn't have a clue representing. If people think that Trump is going to be elected, you'll never have a recession. If people think I'm not, you will have more than recession. You're going to have a depression. But what I will do is we're going to start using our liquid gold. We have more energy under our feet, oil and gas, than any other country in the world. You know, I approved ANWR. It's bigger than Saudi Arabia, they say. Everything requires energy, and it's a very big cost. And that's what caused inflation. Now everything's causing inflation. Now we have bad supply lines. Maria, our country's a mess. We'll close up the border. We'll become energy independent. Then we're going to be energy dominant. We'll be taking care of Europe. Energy prices are going to come way down. I will get Putin to make a deal with Zelensky very quickly. We're going to have a great world again. But I'll tell you what, if we don't win in 24, this country is finished. I really believe that this country is finished.
I'm a very hardcore Trump supporter, but I know he made me stop and think a minute, because my love for President Trump comes from all the despair, all the things that he's been through, has served as our President of the United States, and he did a good job. But all the things, I'm thinking more with my heart and my sorrow and my love for him and for this country. But now this is the most important vote that we're going to have, and I have to think more with my mind and what's best for this country. And you did an excellent job, and I certainly appreciate it.
God bless you. Thank you. You know, I agree with you. I appreciate what President Trump did. How they treated him with things like Russia collusion was a disgrace. And he was treated wrong. He was treated in ways that were unconstitutional.
One of my favorite Trump speeches ever.
What would you do? What can you do? So easy. I drop a 25% tax on China. And you know, I said to somebody that is really the messenger. The messenger is important. I could have one man say, we're going to tax you 25%. And I could say another, listen, you motherfuckers, we're going to tax you.
I'm telling you, man. Look, I'm not in favor of the wall. I'm pro-immigration. I'm not in favor of these ICE busts and all that jazz, but shit like that wins me over.